Welcome to all my travelers out there. I am your host, Darren Beckett, and this is the Global Travel Podcast. For those who do not know my travel resume, I've been to 13 states, 15 countries on 5 different continents, but it is not about me. Here, we are giving you quality travel tips, insights, and recommendations on all the best destinations for ideas to enjoy your vacations. With that being said, sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. We are all clear for takeoff. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we get started and hit our destination, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button, click the bell, and if you could do me a favor, in the comment section below, type in the words, "I got my ticket," and at the end of the show, I'm going to come back, I'm going to respond and see how your experience went with us, okay? So with that being said, on today's episode, we are taking a trip to the Maldives. So make sure you got your passports, your earphones, and something to snack on. We have a special guest, matter of fact, 2 special guests here with us today. But before I introduce them, let me just say this. We have a very special podcast for you guys today. This is the couples edition. So if you travel with your spouse and with your loved one, this is the edition or the show that you need to pay attention to. So together, they've been to over 60 countries. Marcus, 37 himself. Alicia, she's been to over 30 herself. So it's a lot of travel information. You put them together, and that's just more, they lose count after you've been to so many countries. So without further ado, let me introduce you to the couples, Mr. Marcus and Alicia. How you guys doing today?
Hey Darren, how are you?
Thank you. How are you
Hey
doing?
guys.
Doing well, doing well. Thank you for asking. So before we jump in for travel, let's talk about a little bit who we are, where you guys located, what you do for work, hobbies, all that good. And Marcus, you already been on our podcast before. So you was on a previous episode. That was in Malaysia. So we definitely had a good trip. Now we back at it again in the Maldives. So Marcus, if you could just recap a little bit about who you are, and then you know what? My apologies, ladies first. So
Ladies
Alicia,
first.
yeah.
Oh,
Alicia, please
no,
forgive on
no
that one.
apologies needed.
I almost made a mistake. I was like, oh, wait a minute. What am I?
It's
What am I
fine.
thinking?
Let him go first. It's okay.
But no. But see, we already know about him a little bit. So let's go to
Okay.
you. Let's go to you. Let's go to you.
Uh,
So tell us a little bit about, where are you, what you do for work, hobbies, X, Y, and Z.
okay. Well, so my story is a little bit complicated. So I'm actually Jamaican, which is the accent that you hear. But I live in the UK. And I've been here for the past, 15 years on and off. My degree is in international tourism management. So that's kind of how I got into travel, but we'll talk about that later. However, I also am a certified personal trainer. So I did personal training and I taught classes before this pandemic hit. So in the UK, which is where I'm based, we've actually been in a lockdown since March. So all the gyms have been closed since March. They're actually due to open again next week, Tuesday, I believe. So yeah, I've not been doing what I should be doing. I've just been doing odd jobs here and there, but what I really want to do is fitness, so or traveling. But yeah,
Right.
so that's my story in a nutshell.
Nice. And in the UK right now. So what time is it right now where you are?
Um, just coming up to 8:20, so p.m.
You said 8 p.m. So we got 8
Yeah.
p.m. in the UK. Marcus, you on the East Coast. What time is it over there?
A little after 3 p.m.
So yeah, and it's at 12. So we're in California. So we got a couple different time zones for you guys. And then Marcus, I just give us a recap of who you are, and then let us know, for those folks who are new on the podcast.
Definitely Marcus Burgess. I am from and live in New York. I'm based out of Queens, New York now. I work in operations and healthcare. So I'm the director of operations for a community healthcare center. And the pandemic has helped my travel out a lot because now I work 100% remote. So I'm fortunate enough to be able to continue to work through the pandemic and everything. And with Alicia being in the UK, me being in New York, me being able to work remote has really kind of helped us out a little bit because I've been able to travel to the UK since unfortunately she can't come to the United States. all the travel rules and everything kind of sucks, but you know, we've been fortunate enough to do what we can.
Right. So, out of curiosity, Alicia, how is it having a long distance relationship? You in the UK, he's in New York. How do y'all manage to? How long have y'all been together? How do y'all manage to work that out?
Oh gosh. All right. So been together and solid for the past year. So last year November. But we've been on and off for the past 3 years. I think it's been 3 or 4 years. Um,
Mhm.
and it was on and off because of that reason, because it was long distance and because it was a challenge. I had actually been with someone from New York before, so I was kind of used to the long distance. Plus, again, being from Jamaica, I was with a person in Jamaica before as well. So I'm kind of used to the whole long distance, time difference, everything else. Um, Marcus is a bit more challenging just because I think there's more emotions there and stuff. So there's a lot more arguments and yeah, it was challenging. It was really up and down. But yeah, the last year we've just been like, all right, we're going to make this work. How do we make it work? And yeah, we've just been making it work. It's tough because like especially with the time difference. Like when I want to sleep, he's like up and about, or when I'm up and about, he's still asleep.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's kind of hard as well. But yeah, I think because we travel a lot to meet each other as well, that helps to yeah solidify
So
it.
that's good. So Marcus, from your perspective, how is it with the long distance relationship? How's that? How are you able to navigate that?
No, I mean it's definitely tough for the reasons that she said, and I think our, you know, just the time difference and the distance, you know, we kind of had to tap into ourselves and ask ourselves what we really wanted. And as she mentioned, we've been on and off for a little over 3 years. But in the good thing is, in that time, we kind of realized what it is we wanted with ourselves, from ourselves. You know, so we had to grow a lot personally, mature a lot personally, and I credit her all the time for me having to kind of reset and say, okay, you know what is it that I want out of a relationship? What is it that I want to happen? Still doing everything that I love to do, and mainly being travel. So with being with her, we just really we communicate a lot through texting. We, you know, we when the pandemic started, we would have like game nights, we would have date nights, things like that, kind of spice it up a little bit. But really just always keep each other in mind when we need to communicate, you know, and not just let days go by and not say anything to each other, but also understanding each other's time and space. You know, I would hate to have her up just because it's early over here, and vice versa. So we kind of found like a good synergy, you know, and plus she's like she's an amazing woman. So that helps. Like the desire for me to want to make it work is there.
Right. Definitely. And then now, Alicia, how often do you guys see each other in a year? Like how on average, how often do you guys see each other?
Well, this year is a write-off because obviously COVID. But actually before COVID had happened, I had been in the US, well, in February.
Hmm.
Then he came out, oh, well, actually, and then we went to Seychelles in March.
Hmm.
Um, then he came out here in May, I believe it was, or June.
June,
Um, right, and then you came out again in July.
couple, yeah, couple months. I think August.
No, because August we went to Aruba.
Right. So yeah, we just
Yeah, so this year alone, we've probably seen each other about 6 times.
Yeah, you
yeah.
Um,
make it work.
but last year, well, we were on and off. So,
Mhm.
but even then, we still, uh, well, no, not, let's not count last year. But yeah, this year we've seen each other about 6 times. Yeah.
Yeah,
And it
Cool.
would be
So you
more if
definitely make it work.
COVID didn't happen.
Of
yeah,
right. I like that. I
absolutely.
like that a lot. So let me so curious. Okay, Marcus, you in the East Coast, Alicia, you in the UK. So how did you guys meet? How did that happen? Where were you guys at? what country? It sounded like it's probably in a different country. Where were you guys at? How did that happen?
So this is controversial. There are two versions. Mine is the
The truth
absolute
and the
truth.
lie, but anyway.
Correct. So we met in Dubai. I was
Okay.
traveling prior to Alicia. I would travel a lot solo. So I was one of those solo travelers. So I was going to Mauritius, and then I had a full day layover in Dubai. So I went on an excursion in the desert. Alicia was on the same excursion in the desert with a friend of hers. So it was a ATV like Jeep desert excursion, and it had different checkpoints. So you would drive, it felt like a roller coaster in the Jeep. Then you would park, get out, and you would just, experience the desert, take pictures, and then you would keep doing that. So I was in the Jeep full of different people, some knew each other, some didn't, from different regions, but I was the only person solo. So we all befriended each other during the excursion. So at one checkpoint, the people in my Jeep saw Alicia taking selfies and taking pictures. So they said, "Oh, look at that girl taking those pictures." And I looked at her, and she was very, very attractive. So at the vantage point I was at, Alicia was to my right, her friend was to my far right. So her friend locked eye contact with me and did like a head motion for me to talk to Alicia. I winked at her friend. Alicia saw me at this point, so Alicia thought I was winking at her. So that gave Alicia like, okay, this guy's winking at me, whatever the case may be. So as we moved to the next and final checkpoint, which was where we were having dinner, I wanted to speak to her, but by the time I got to the entrance, she had disappeared and went off to the bathroom. So I thought I lost my shot, but then she came out of the bathroom and she said, I was going to talk to you, right? And I said, yeah, well, I wanted to talk to you as well. And then from there, we spent the whole dinner there together speaking, which I definitely credit her because that left her friend to be alone, but her friend didn't mind. And
and I did try to include my friend, and my friend was like, "No, it's fine. You go, whatever."
Yeah.
It wasn't like I completely left her alone.
Yeah, she left her alone. And then later on that evening, I met up with her again prior to her and her friend going out to a club or something. And then I was leaving for Mauritius the next day. So then we just continued to communicate on social media. So that's how we met. That's my version of how we met.
Okay, I'm curious to hear your version, Alicia. Go ahead. I'm listening. We listening.
Okay, he's kind of tweaked it. So it's true, up until the point where he said he winked at my friend. He was actually winking at me. Okay, it wasn't my friend. And yeah, because I had seen him like staring at me.
I'm not even the type. I'm sorry, babe, to interrupt. I'm not even the type of guy to wink at a girl and use that as my entrance, my opening. So that's not the case.
It was the case. But anyway, he winked at me. And then I was like, okay, let me see what he's going to say. So then I went to find him. And then, yeah, we spoke. But yeah, it's usually like, I love to tell this story because he tried to make such an impression when he met me, right? Because when we're in the desert at this dinner thing, they had different like activities you could do whilst you're in the desert. And one of them was like getting henna on your hands, right? So I love henna. So I went and I was like, oh yeah, I have to do henna, whatever. And it was free because it was included in the price that we paid.
Nice.
So I went to get henna and he was there sitting down talking to me. And then he popped out his wallet and then he tipped the lady that was giving me the henna $20, which she didn't even deserve because she didn't even do that great of a job on the henna. But he was trying to like make an impression on me. Like, oh look, I'm generous or whatever the case was. So yeah, he gave her $20, and I was just like, all right.
Whatever. I think that's the lowest bill I had. And then she was in Dubai with her friend, and they were looking for Saudi princes. So it's like, okay, well, let me. She laughing because she knows that's true.
Anyways,
so how dare she?
Yes.
That is funny.
And can I also just add? I don't know if you're gonna ask this, but I'm gonna tell you anyways.
Go ahead.
So after we met in Dubai, etc., we kept talking. Literally, we only had like a day where we actually met each other, right? Before he
Mhm.
went off to Mauritius. And so we were like, okay, so when are we gonna see each other? And he was like, well, I'm going to Mexico in May, I think it was. So we met in March, and then he was going to Mexico in May. And he
Mhm.
was like, you can come. And I was like, all right, cool. So we went to Cabo. Again, up until this point, we hadn't seen each other since.
Mhm.
And yeah, you're talking on the phone and stuff, but it's not really the same, right? So
Right.
we get to Cabo, and it was just a nightmare. Like, we hated each other for like the first 2 days we were there. And he
What?
was like, he's ready to go back to New York. I was ready to come back. Well, at the time I was living in London. I was like, I'm ready to come back to London. Like, this is like the worst holiday ever. And we're in Cabo. It should be like nice and whatever else. But yeah, we were just arguing nonstop. And then I think by day 3 or 4, um, we kind of eventually mellowed out, and it was like the best one of our best trips eventually.
What?
But yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
That's 100% accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So, all right. You guys just met in Dubai, and then your first trip, you guys hit Mexico, Cabo, and it started off rough. It started off rough, but it's not how you start, it's how you finish. So it sounds like you guys finished strong. So out of kill, what was the, I mean, not like you don't have to get the details of what was y'all new? How do y'all argue and y'all fresh? So how that normally is supposed to be like the honeymoon type of phase. How y'all start
So
arguing already?
I have a take on it. And it's something that globally, I think people watching the podcast will probably shake their head when they hear it. Some people, a lot of people think your sign determines how you are. And one thing that I've heard a lot, every time I say I'm a Scorpio, people they make a face because they've had an experience. Alicia and I's birthdays are literally one day apart, and
Uh-huh.
we're both Scorpios. So we're like the same exact person.
Mm-hmm.
And we have like this alpha trait to us both. And at that time, now we know how to manage it. But at that time, it's like, no, I'm right, you're wrong, I'm right, what have you. And again, like she said, we had only seen each other one time before that, and we talked on the phone, but talking on the phone and stuff like that was just really getting to know each other. So now we're
Right.
sharing the same space. There's certain things that our previous relationships, our previous mannerisms, now you got to gel together with somebody else, really a stranger. It just didn't go right.
Right.
So, you
Right.
know, eventually we got to the point where I was able to look at her and say, okay, this will trigger this from her.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I might not want to do that. Or maybe I'll talk about that later. And then I'm sure, you know, she has her version of what she adjusted to with me. But from my end, it was really just kind of understanding that, okay, this person has very, very strong similarities to me. And I know it's because our birthdays are one day apart. We're the same sign. We're like the same person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you agree with that, Alicia, or do you have a different
I
take?
do. Yeah, and then also, like as you previously mentioned earlier, it was like a lot of immaturity on both ends when we first started out the relationship. Because we're both stubborn, very stubborn. Um, yeah, it was like, yeah, we
And you
weren't
know what? And
budging
and
on
let
what.
me say this, and babe, I'm going to say this also a big contributing factor to it. I believe, and she may disagree, but the type of relationships we were in before, I felt like she was with guys that when they would act a certain way and would trigger like certain emotions with her, I guess she chalked it up as okay, automatically this guy's going to be the same.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's going to have the same type of communication that I previously had. In me, my experiences were more all right, get down to the bottom of something and communicate more. So I'm gonna want to figure out, yo, why are we beefing? Why are we going through this? We're in Mexico, the sun is shining, we're at a great hotel. What are we arguing about? And
That
she would
part.
just like be dead silent. And so to tell you about the argument, the first one we had, and how she used to argue, or lack of an argument, she literally was shut down. Like, so, you know, we had our disagreement, and then she didn't speak to me for a full day. Like when I say didn't speak to me, I could have been in her way to the bathroom. She wouldn't have said move. She wouldn't have said get out of the way. She wouldn't have said anything. The thing, and for the ladies listening, please, I mean, if you can comment to let me know if this is how it is, this is what broke the ice for us to talk about. She ordered, because she was in the UK and I'm in the US, a lot of the websites, it's easier to ship to the US. So she ordered a few outfits and had them sent to my house. So I brought them to Mexico with us. She ordered like 3 items. She went through my suitcase and only saw 2 of them. Her first words to me after 24 hours were, "Where's the other thing? There's only 2. I ordered 3." I was like, oh, okay, so I guess we're talking again. So that's what happened.
Oh, Alicia, is that pretty accurate?
That is 100% accurate. Yep.
Okay. Well, you know what? Hey, I appreciate honesty. Honestly, I appreciate that. So, okay, all right. We got off to a rough start. We in Mexico. So, what are some things that you guys recommend far as couples to do while we're in Mexico? Things to do, places to visit and see. What do you guys recommend? Couple related or whatnot.
So Mexico, Cabo, that part of Cabo, the first thing I would recommend, rent a car. Definitely rent a car. A lot of people who travel to different countries, from what I know, they get kind of nervous renting a car because, they don't know the landscape. They don't know how to drive. But Cabo, it's literally like one main road, really, maybe 2. And you can rent a car and you can do all of that, because depending on where you stay, a lot of the activities, the Cabo activities like the nightlife, the tiki bars and stuff like that, you're going to want to drive there. You can park there and you're perfectly fine. So we really, really were able to take advantage of the landscape and renting a car. And then really the main thing in Cabo is kind of like a party type part of Mexico. So we went to nightclubs pretty often and a lot. So we really enjoyed that. And then there's very good spas, like credit to Alicia. She really put kind of like the itinerary together. Amazing spas, amazing restaurants that we went to. And just really, I would say the common spring break type of location and spring break type of town, so to speak, with the clubbing, with the partying, with the bars, with like the spas, with the restaurants, all of that. And that's what I remember from it, babe. I don't know if you remember any other things.
Yeah, I would just say, like, I feel like when we went to Cabo, which was 3 or 4 years ago, whatever it wasn't as popular as it is now. So you said it's a spring break like town, but at the time I didn't feel that. I felt it was more like older people, and it was like a more like refined type of clientele or visitors that went at the time. Um, I mean, yes, it still had a club and stuff, but yeah, it was more like older people. Like we met this guy. I'm pretty sure it was at that hotel. I can't even remember now. I'm pretty sure we met this millionaire guy from like Texas, who had a farm or whatever, and he had his like own helicopter and stuff like that. Like we met like those type of like people there. Also, another thing I would add is we did a sunset cruise, which was amazing. And yeah, one of the restaurants that we went to was Sunset the Mona Lisa.
Mona Lisa, yeah.
Something. Amazing. But yeah, literally, I would just say go out and explore the coast, or definitely, and then just stay in the hotel.
Yeah, definitely. And then and like she was just saying, like the sunset, sunrise activities, things like that, restaurants with the views, everything. And then just the clubs and the nightlife. It was pretty cool. And you do hear a lot about Mexico as a whole, just, with certain violent things and what have you. But Cabo, your Cabo, your Cancun, places like that. I mean, yeah, absolutely be careful, but those are going to be the safer areas that you want to go to and have a good time. So yeah, that was our first trip together also.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, Mexico, even though we was off to a rough start, had a little bit of turbulence. It's all good. We finished strong, had some sunset and whatnot to experience some nice views and restaurants and food to eat. So that was real dope. Now let's go ahead. We have a little ways before we get to the Maldives. Now, Alicia, it sounds like you are the planner. It looks like you the one that planned the trips. I don't know, I could be wrong. But other than the Maldives, what other country do you guys recommend is the ideal couples trip or a country or honeymoon or what countries, Alicia, starting from your point of view first, what do you recommend folks to do as far as couples? What countries should we go to?
Number one, without a doubt, is Sri Lanka. Like, I cannot recommend Sri Lanka enough. Like, I love Sri Lanka. There was just so much to do. And when you say I plan stuff, like, yeah, I just told him book his ticket. Like, I would take care of everything. So I was looking at drive. So in Sri Lanka, it's best if you get a driver to bring you around the island.
Mhm.
The island is not like a 1 day thing. It's like
And babe, let them
we were
know
there for like 2 weeks,
and let
and
them know
even
how
that,
much let them know how much like the driver was and how long we had him.
yeah. So I was gonna, yeah, we were there for like 11 days, maybe I
Yeah.
think it was. Um, and we still didn't even do everything that I wanted to do, but we did enough in the space of time without doing too much. So
Mhm.
I think I paid, and I really could be wrong. I can't even remember. I think I paid maybe like 500 US, maybe, but it's or maybe even less. It was probably
I
less than
think
that,
I
maybe.
think it was like 350. I think it was like
Okay,
around there.
okay, maybe okay. So yeah, 350 US for about, as I said, 11 days. And yeah, so in Sri Lanka, the route that I decided to take was we went east of the island and then down and then back up to
Mhm.
where the capital is. But we still didn't do any of the north. Um, but yeah, literally there's so much like waterfalls, beaches. They're like big on like herbal type stuff, and me and Marcus are like big on like fitness and health and natural stuff. So Sri Lanka was A1 for that because they use all these natural things and it was just like paradise. Um, like I can't even. Oh, we went to tea fields. Man, we did so much in Sri Lanka. So yeah, Sri Lanka definitely is like one of the top couple places because there's just so much to do and to experience together. Um, the next one that immediately pops up in my head would be Seychelles, which we went to earlier this year. And again, we island hop. So Seychelles has a bunch of different islands. And we did three, three or four, I can't remember.
I think
But yeah, so it's not all just like beachy. It had again waterfalls. We went to like it's supposed to like the world's best beautiful beach. But to get there you have to like cycle through vanilla fields. So you're just like cycling through like the jungle and you're smelling vanilla all over and it's just like bliss. Um and yeah, one island we went to they didn't even have cars. You literally had to ride a bicycle everywhere you wanted.
yeah.
And again that was amazing. Um so yeah, Seychelles, Sri Lanka,
And while she thinks about a third in Sri Lanka, the planning out, she's excellent with planning and just the whole countryside and the just the landscape of Sri Lanka is amazing to go to. But if you and we do recommend highly Sri Lanka, but make sure you map out your destinations properly because it is a long flight, obviously. So when we landed, I recall her telling me that our hotel is probably the first hotel, maybe 20, 30 minutes away, what have you. So the driver tells us it's not 20 or 30 minutes away, it's 5 hours away. So when you fly for so long and you got your body ready to just be in the car for another 30 minutes, but it's 5 hours, make sure make sure you know the distance between each checkpoint that you want to go to because you could end up cranky with your partner if you leave it to your partner to plan that.
Okay, can I just say that was the only part of the itinerary I got wrong? Because I had been researching for like months. So I must have missed one little detail. But yeah, it ended up being a 5 hour drive to the first hotel.
Wow.
But that aside. Um,
Oh, and baby, one more thing you touched on, because we're into health and fitness, like health is wealth, you know. We both believe that.
Mhm.
The natural fruits that Sri Lanka had everywhere on the roadside. You literally just driving, we would tell the driver, and when we say driver, it is literally your personal driver the entire time. And the way that you will question, the first location we had was 5 hours from the initial spot, but he was with us the entire time for the price that we mentioned. A lot of the hotels have what they call driver accommodation. So it's kind of like dorm rooms. So while you stay in your hotel, your driver could have like, a dorm room at the same hotel. And if it was like a small boutique hotel that didn't have accommodations, then our driver would find another one that wouldn't be too far off. And it would only, I think, cost them maybe like, $15 US, $20 US. So it's set up for you to have a personal driver. It's an expense that you should factor into your trip, and then really do it. You're not doing yourself justice if you don't get a driver. And again, it's not that expensive for the seemingly the unlimited amount of miles they'll drive for you, and the amount of time that you have them. But again, the natural fruits, that's one of my highlights to the place, to just be able to be out and eat healthy. Not too expensive, because when you travel,
dirt cheap,
dirt cheap, and it's just so good. It's just so good, and it's something that I know in the U.S. obviously we have fruits and oranges, apples, and things like that. But just to be able to have coconut water every single day that you're there, be able to have dragon fruit, and just just all these different exotic fruits that are native to tropical islands and native to Southeast Asia. That was that was on point.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So we got Sri Lanka, that we had a good time in Sri Lanka. A lot of exotic fruits, like you mentioned. You definitely want to get you a driver, a personal driver. You don't, especially when you couple and you're doing something romantic, or you just don't want to have to spend too much wasting time trying to, do the cheap route, when you could just do something convenient. Convenient is okay. So especially when you're traveling as a couple, I think convenience is, but it depends on the couple. Some couples is cool, doing it roughing it or whatever. So it just really depends on your travel style. So
Absolutely.
Definitely. So other than before, we're still not ready quite yet to go to the Maldives, any other countries that you guys recommend that are like couples specifically should go to?
So I would say, so the place that we kind of reconnected, she did a South American tour, and we both met in Chile. So she actually put me on to the southern part of Chile, which is Atacama, which is like the it's like a desert region, and it's extremely high altitude. And it was a good segue that you said, like the roughing it. So we did glamping, like camping. So the place where we stayed was literally in a tent. So the tent, it did have outlets and it had electricity, but whenever we had to go to the bathroom, we had to get up and walk probably 3 minutes to the bathroom. And this could be in the middle of the night. So we had to take our phone with us and a flashlight and all. It was safe. It was absolutely safe. But you're in an area and you're camping, and it's set up for you to camp. And the thing about Atacama, Chile, is when you go outside and you look up, not only do you see the stars, which a lot of people didn't know this, and I didn't know, you can see galaxies in the sky, which is unreal when you see it. They have tours set up specifically to, I guess, walk down all the constellations and show them to you, but to just walk out of your tent and look up in the sky and see galaxies and see stars and see something like you would see in a picture or like a drawing. That's literally what we had. So just that aspect of it from a couple point of view, you're in it together. It's like, you know what, babe, we're out here in this tent. It's pitch black. You know, there's stars, there's galaxies, we're in the desert and everything like that. But again, it's something where we reconnected on that trip. So I think that from a, you know, couple's point of view, you can be established, you can just be, you know, testing yourselves out. I never thought that location would have brought us together the way that it did, but it definitely did. So Atacama, Chile. Yeah, big fan.
Alicia, what you got it? Because you don't want to put him on. So how did you find out about it? What made you choose Chile? Because Chile is not the most popular country to visit, especially for, you know, couples as, you know, a romantic trip. So what made you go that direction? That's definitely different.
Yes, so as he said, like I was doing a tour of South America. So for my birthday, which was last year, I said, yeah, I've always wanted to go to South America. So I was like, obviously from England, it's like a 10, 11 hour flight. So I was like, if I'm going to go, then I might as well, you know, do it. My aunt is actually from Peru, but she would always be like, oh no, wait till I'm in Peru before you go to Peru. So I X'd out Peru. It was between Ecuador and Chile. And I was like, nah, let me do Chile. Because I had a friend that had been to Ecuador and she was like, oh, she would have preferred to have gone to Chile. So yeah, I did Brazil, I did Argentina, Chile, and ended in Colombia. But yeah, Chile, I didn't really want to just go to Santiago. I looked at other places in Chile and I saw the Atacama Desert. And I saw pictures of it and I was just like, I have to go. I have to go. And yeah, I was loving the idea of being out in the middle of the night in a tent, and glamping, as he says. And there was like all these excursions to do because it borders Bolivia as well, the part that we were. So you actually had the chance to go over to Bolivia for like a day if you wanted. Unfortunately, we didn't have that much time in Chile. Well, in the Atacama desert part, so we didn't get to go over to Bolivia. But yeah, so there's just so much to do and like the pictures and everything else. And it's not a place. I hate to say it, but it's not really a place that you see a lot of Black people, which is very unfortunate because it is absolutely amazing. Like I think we were like the only Black people there, especially young Black like couples. Definitely, we were the only ones. So yeah, it was just amazing. It was unreal. So yeah, I definitely have to. But I didn't get altitude sickness, which I didn't even know. I knew about altitude sickness. I just didn't realize it would have such a massive impact and effect on my health. He was fine. I was dying inside. But that aside, I would go again in a heartbeat, definitely.
Oh, and speaking of that, is it room for me to give a travel tip in this section?
Please do. Go ahead, please.
So, with altitude sickness, there's one rule that I always have when I travel, and the first thing for me to do is to secure a good, reputable hotel, especially when you're so far from home, because you never know what's going to happen, and you want to make sure that your hotel can keep you and protect you and house you for when who knows what happens. So from the altitude sickness point of view, she had it in Atacama, and then we went to Santiago, which is the capital, and then we went to this restaurant. It was on the the world's 50 best list restaurants, what have you. So the day prior to her leaving, she got violently sick to the point where, we didn't know what it was. I thought it was an appendicitis. It was just, up in the bathroom, in pain to the touch. Like there were points where I couldn't even touch it. She was in so much pain. And it was like 2, 3 in the morning. She had to leave the next day. So in a situation
I had to leave that same day. I was like,
the
I was
same
like
day.
7 a.m. or something.
Yeah.
I was due to start getting ready to go to the airport.
Exactly. So luckily the hotel we were in, the W Hotel, which is a Marriott chain. I was able to just get on the phone with the front desk and the concierge. And number one, they were able to provide me with like first it was Gatorade, and then it was I think it was some form of medicine. I don't remember, babe, but ultimately they had to call the paramedics or the EMTs. So the EMTs came in and they did like an evaluation of her, found out that it wasn't appendicitis, but they were able to care for her at 3 a.m. Whereas a lot of people for budgetary reasons, I get it. You want to stay in people tell themselves, well, we're not going to be in the room that much, so the room doesn't matter. It's not about it not mattering because you're not going to be in the room. It's about, well, God forbid, what happens if something happens? Who are you going to reach out to? And when you stay at a good quality hotel, you always have 24-hour staff there that can help you if something goes wrong. So even though our trip in Chile was great and we reconnected, we had that moment where she got sick. I really didn't know what to do. I said, you know what, I'm just going to do my best. But thankfully, I have this hotel to take care of us as well because they're, just a top of the line hotel chain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well said. Well said. Definitely. When you're traveling, and like I mentioned earlier, if you're a couple, excuse me, you definitely want to travel, convenience, that is convenience that we're talking about. And just like Marcus said, it's not about, being at the cheapest or I mean, we do know there are budget travelers out there, and it's definitely okay. I've been one and still am one, depending on, my trip. So for sometimes it's good to go ahead and pay that extra dollar or whatever it is for that convenience, because things happen, especially when you're a long ways from home. You definitely want to have that coverage. I don't know if you guys know what CY is, but it's cover your ass. So you want to make sure you do that, especially when you're in a different country. So,
Absolutely.
it looks like we are now officially landed in the Maldives. We have finally arrived. It was a long trip. We ready. We off the plane. We stretching our legs, ready to hit the ground running. So, Alicia, now if you can do us a favor, what is like the first thing you would recommend us to do, far as couples? We're on a couples trip right now. So for the couples, what do you recommend for us to do first?
Ooh, okay. So Maldives is a group of different islands, right? Hundreds of islands apparently. So we went to the Conrad, went to the Conrad Hotel, which is on Rangali Island. Um, but based on my research, all the islands are pretty much the same in terms of there's one hotel on each island, and well, each hotel obviously offers their own kind of amenities and facilities, but you're really just in Maldives to just relax, reset, unwind, cut off from the rest of the world, and just, yeah, be with each other in that space. So for us, um, I mean, it was been a rough year for both Marcus and myself. Actually, I think 4 days, 5 days before I was due to leave the Maldives, I lost my mother, which was like the worst day of my life. So that trip almost got canceled. Marcus doesn't know this, but yeah, I was on the verge of actually canceling it. Because my mother had been battling cancer and everything else. So yeah, so when I got to the Maldives, I was grieving heavily, heavily, heavily. But being in Maldives allowed me to literally just kind of detach myself from that situation and just be in awe of everything. We did spa days, which was like the best thing ever. Like I remember we had a head massage, an Indian head massage. And I don't snore, okay? Let me just get that clear. I do not snore. But in that massage, when they were doing my head massage, I started snoring. Well, I fell asleep, obviously, but I started snoring and I heard myself snoring. So I woke up. I'm like, what the hell? Like, yeah. So they were hitting like all these pressure points that, yeah, it just got me zen. Like I was completely knocked out. So yeah, spa days definitely. Literally, and it goes back to this again, like a good hotel. Like that Conrad was amazing. Like the room we had, they upgraded us. Um, we had like this 2 bedroom over the water villa bungalow. And literally, you didn't even need to leave the room. It was like that amazing. So yeah, literally being with the right person, that's all you need. Like the right person, perfect location, like just be with each other. That's
Mhm.
yeah. That's the
Yeah.
advice I can give. Really.
Right. So yeah, it seems like we need to some R&R, reset, relax. So yeah, we definitely in the right place. Now, Marcus, what's your experience? What do you recommend? I know we got some good spas and whatnot, but from your perspective, what do you think we should do, eat, see, and all that good stuff while we're here?
Yeah. So going back to the hotel thing. So this trip, in the short, small backstory for it, she was celebrating a birthday, our birthday, but this was a surprise birthday trip for her. Um, and I had to do all of the planning on this one, which,
First time
thankfully,
ever, might I add.
yeah, first time ever with us, but me traveling, solo all these years, I can do it because I've done it for myself. But with her, now it's taking into consideration, all right, well, this is her birthday. This is a surprise. So I want to nail it. I want to get everything done, the right way to really make her happy. And then obviously with the circumstance, like doubly impact that. So the hotel, the staff, we were in communication via email all the time, so I would email them about activities and what they would be to do. The difficult position they were in is COVID, so I had booked the trip in January, but then they shut down and they reopened towards the end of September. So with them reopening, it was like, so a lot of our facilities aren't going to be open. Half of them are. So we have to condense, the hotel staff, we have to condense the guest list and do everything within this new pandemic world. So some of the things that they were able to offer, they had, free water activities such as like paddle boarding, um, the stand-up paddle boards, so on and so forth. They had some snorkeling. They had just a few different water devices that you can go out and you can just, because you're literally in the Indian Ocean. So how she said our backyard, quote unquote, the steps led us into the ocean. So there's a lot of water activity. And then some of the paid activities where you can go out, you can go fishing, you can go deep sea fishing or whatever the case may be. You
Whale
can
shark, you can see
go,
whale
yeah,
shark.
whale sharks. You can see whale sharks. You can go scuba diving. You can do things like that if you're one of those water activists. So you just really just want to enjoy being out deep into the ocean. But again, you're surrounded by the ocean. So if you're somebody who's not a water enthusiast or someone who can't swim, like myself, you can just stay around your room and you can enjoy some of the free activities and things like that. Then just really the beaches where we were at, you're on an island and everything surrounding you is a beach. So what's funny and what most people don't realize is that one section of the beach could be completely different from another section of the beach, even though we're on the same small island. So we discovered right where we were at, it's like, oh, this looks like a great spot. Like, look at this. Look how beautiful the water looks, whatever. Then we would walk or get a buggy to another part of the island and the beach would look completely different. This part of the beach, sharks would be right on the shore or, close to the shore. And a lot of people would hear that and they would probably freak out. But the sharks there, they were, I don't want to call them like pets, but they were docile and it was fine being in the water with them.
Right.
So, that beach life. And then what some people will be all for, other people might not. And the hotel chain, it's one of those high-end hotels. So the clientele there, it's going to be, few and far between, but you're in such close proximity to other couples, you're going to have conversations with strangers that you didn't know before, and you're going to share travel stories. So we met people from Germany, we met people from Brazil, we met staff from Burma, we met staff from the Maldives, we met staff from Southeast Asia, so all of the different people who were there and who we were able to speak to every day, and she might laugh, every day when we would look at the time, we're like, yo, how is it this time? Like, how did all these hours go by? Like, it's time for us to close out the night. It's time for us to go to dinner.
Right.
So it's literally, you're not doing anything, but you're doing a lot, if that makes sense. So the Maldives is perfect for that. And another funny thing, they like have their own time zone. So when we landed, they said your clocks are going to adjust to Maldivian time, but we want you to set it an additional hour ahead because we're on our own time on this island, which was like crazy to me. But yeah, when you go to a place like the Maldives, expect a luxury experience. Expect to really detach from whatever it is going on in your personal life, and you're just gonna really, really love the relaxation aspect of it. And like, that's what, to me, traveling is about when it comes to unwinding and going on a relaxing beach vacation. Like, I couldn't have asked for a better vacation, just personally, and also for, her, for her birthday, and then just everything that we were dealing with. It was flawless. We can't wait to go back.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. Now, Alicia, now we got his opinion on how he did. It was flawless. Now, for his first time or only time that he's planned the trip, was the planner. How was it in your eyes? How was it for you? Was it did he pass? Did he fail? Or what's your insights on that?
So, all right. So he booked it from January, right? And up until I think it was September, I had no clue where we were going. He just kept saying, "Oh yeah, oh I can't wait for this trip. It's gonna be so great." Blah blah blah. So he already set the expectation high, right?
Uh-huh.
So I think he only told me in September when my mother's health started like going bad and stuff. Um, and so yeah, when I found out it was Maldives, like the expectation was even higher. Because I was like, oh my
Mm.
God, like this is somewhere on my bucket list. This is somewhere I want to go. So yeah, that was cool. Um, and yeah, like as I said, he kept hyping it up, like, yeah, I can't wait for the trip. It's gonna be so good. Um, but like he said, some of the things he wanted to do because of COVID, he couldn't do it. So
Mhm.
even with us not doing what he wanted to do, the trip was A1. Honestly, he didn't even need to do much. Like the location, the hotel, everything was so perfect. Like I didn't even need much. And obviously, with everything going on with me, I probably really didn't need much.
Right.
But yeah, like he was amazing. He booked the spa day, which was like a big thing. Like, oh, I needed that spa day. So I'm so glad that he booked that. This was a surprise again. I didn't know. We did the underwater restaurant, which is why we're here in this podcast today.
Uh-huh.
Which was amazing. I don't know if he even told you the story, but so we went for lunch and we walked in and there was no one else in there. So we're like, oh, maybe we're like early or something. And then the staff and they're like, nah, you guys are the only one booked in for the day. So we're like, huh? We have the restaurant all to ourselves. That was cool. So yeah, we had that
Mm.
underwater restaurant, which was amazing. The chef came out, spoke to us. The staff were excellent. We had our little photo shoot.
Uh,
They started feeding the sharks and the stingray above us. So yeah, we had the sharks just like swimming around the whole time. So yeah, that was another good thing. Um, and yes, just all the restaurants on the island were excellent. Um, but yeah, really the highlight is him booking the hotel, the trip on a whole. And
mhm.
yeah, he did excellent. I could not ask for
Well,
a
well
special
done.
trip at the
Thank you,
time.
Ray.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so all my fellas out there who are listening, I hope you are taking notes. I hope you are paying attention, and you definitely need, if you have a significant other, you need to put Maldives on that list. It's a few things you can do, make it very romantic. It could be a honeymoon trip if that's not your style of travel, but if it is, you got to at least try it one time, and it sounds like it's very very nice. So and of course it's not for the I'm assuming is not for the budget travelers. You might have to spend a
So
little bit. You may can travel budget. I don't know. You
I'm
may
glad. I'm glad you said that. Because the thought of Maldives is that it's not really a budget trip.
mm,
So hundreds of islands that they have, and
Mhm.
there are hotels that occupy, each, if not all of the islands.
Mhm.
But there's a mainland, the main airport, which is Male, whereas there are a lot of hotels that you can get for $150 or less per night. So there are a lot of affordable hotels in the Maldives. What
Mhm.
really drives the price is the higher end islands. They have their own private transportation to get to the island, which if you don't always research that, or you have to research that, because when you land in the main hotel, we then had to get on another flight, which was a seaplane, like a half-hour flight to our island.
Mhm.
That that trip alone was like $600, round trip per person. So that is enough to eliminate somebody from going there. But that doesn't mean you have to go to an island that is going to incur that expense. You can go to an island where once you land, if it's an island where you can take like a boat there, that's a lot cheaper, then you can do that as well. So you really have to research your price points and which hotels call for the seaplane, which hotels call for just the boat that you can take. This somewhat like public transportation, but it is affordable for a number of different price points. You just really have to research it, and it's extremely important to do that and find that out prior, because the last thing you want to do is get there and think you're just going to take a quick taxi to your hotel, and they're like, no, your hotel is out in the middle of the ocean. You need to have had that booked. That can happen to people. So I'm
Mhm.
glad that didn't happen. And then a funny story with that, very quickly, with regards to Alicia, we always like to stay at particular hotel chains. Again, like I said, I usually pick them out for, number one, that safety reason, but also, I'll be honest, there's a niceness that I like to a hotel. So I was supposed to go to the Maldives 2 years ago, but I didn't know about that seaplane cost. So that was an expense that I couldn't incur. So I canceled it. So she thought, when she found out we were going to the Maldives, she knew what hotel we were staying at. And I didn't
Mhm.
confirm or deny, because we always stay at one or two, luxury high-end hotels. So
Mhm.
once we landed, the staff was there to pick us up, and it had the name, the Conrad name on there on the display. Like, so, Marcus Burgess, Conrad Hotel, whatever. So she looked, because she was expecting it to be the St. Regis. So there was a second where she was kind of disappointed, because her whole thing was, oh, I know where we're staying, but she had no idea. So that was something where there are so many different places you can stay, and really any of them, I'm sure, will meet your expectations. And some will offer different things, but every hotel there that occupies an island, their whole idea and their whole goal is to give you an amazing experience that you won't forget. So again, talking about the budget and everything, don't be afraid to see something that you can't afford and then like, oh, I have to settle for this one that's much cheaper. Go anyway. Just go, because the
Mhm.
Maldives itself I know, is a prime destination for any price point.
Okay. That's actually good to know. That's actually good to know, because I know we have some travelers out there, some listeners and audience that are budget travelers. They talk a lot about hostels and whatnot. So are there any hostels out there in the Maldives, or is it more so hotel?
I'm not sure. If there are hostels, I know they would be on the mainland,
Mhm.
on Maui, but I don't know for sure.
Mhm.
But the way they have it set up, because it's so small, just doing that research and just googling it, you won't really have many places to go where you're not going to get the correct information.
Mhm.
It's not vast, where you're going to have one section of town that's not good to stay in, and another section, okay, make sure you stay there. Everything is really condensed. So I'm sure if you just Google, like property shares or stuff like Airbnb and things like that, it'll pop up. But
Mhm.
again, even with the budgetary limits some people have, there are a lot of affordable hotels that are there that you don't have to worry about spending too much money on.
Yeah, that's good to know. Now, quick question for you, Marcus. For Americans, do we need a visa to go to the Maldives or vaccinations or anything?
No, the only thing that is needed right now for the pandemic is to show that you have a negative COVID PCR test, the
Okay.
72-hour version. So it's the rapid test. For all you travelers out there, I've done both. I've done the nasal swab and the oral swab. I don't want to scare anybody, but I personally can't do a nasal swab test again. I just can't do it. The oral swab is effortless, it's easy. I'd rather, if I had to wait 6 hours to get an oral swab versus 10 minutes for a nasal swab, I'm waiting 6 hours.
Oh, I've heard about those. Though, I ain't gonna lie. I heard that they did pretty much digging into your brain. So I heard they go pretty
Yeah,
far.
I don't want to discourage or scare anyone, because there's some people who've had the nasal swab and they say, oh, it's not that bad. Just me personally, I can't do it.
That's those people.
But yes,
No, that's those people who they pick their nose a lot. That's why.
yeah, Alicia. But yeah, but no visa, no shots, no immunizations, nothing like that. You just need your valid passport. For those who are new to travel, make sure that every time you travel, your passport doesn't expire within a 6-month period. If it expires within 6 months, you're not going to be granted entry. So always check your expiration date. But yeah, you just need your passport.
Cool. Now, Alicia. Now, I'm assuming you have an England passport, right? Or where your
Yeah, I
passport
do.
from? So, do you guys need a visa to go to Maldives?
No. So
Okay.
England is very like, yeah.
Yeah,
We're
y'all
free
don't.
to go most places without a visa. But yeah, it's literally the same, just the COVID test. Yeah.
Right. Right. Now, we didn't talk about too much in details about the food. Now, Alicia, you said it was great food, I believe. What do you recommend specific, whether it's seafood or steaks or whatnot? What do you recommend far as food wise?
Yeah, so I don't eat meat, which is perfect for me in the Maldives because they're surrounded by seafood galore.
Hmm.
Um, Unfortunately, again, it being the Conrad, the high-end brand, um, they do up their prices like crazily.
Yeah.
So everything was super duper expensive. Um, but it was worth, well, some of it was worth it. They did have lobster, which I wanted, but I didn't get only because of price, and I know I can get lobster a lot cheaper.
Hmm.
But I had seafood pretty much every day. They have a lot of reef fish, which is like the fish that's the most common out there. They have yellowfin tuna. We had a lot of king prawns, tiger prawns. Um, what else? Yeah, salmon. Yeah, literally, I was eating all their seafood. All the seafood was good. The traditional Maldivian style cooking is spices and coconut type
Hmm.
bases. So coconut milk, chilies, spices. Um, yeah, I mean everything was good, fresh, which I love.
Right.
Um, and yeah, it was just good. It was,
Uh, As far as the language, do they all speak English or what's their national language there?
so they do have a Maldivian language, but they all speak English in the hotel. Yeah, they all spoke English.
Okay.
Yeah,
So there's no
communication.
communication.
Yeah, the communication was great there, and the good thing about the Conrad, that, which is a Hilton brand, that is, and I don't know what the requirements are or what regions you have to be, but that seemed like that was a location that people would go in for training,
Mhm.
and then they would go to like their home hotels. So we did meet a couple of staff that were there because they had just got into that, the Hilton hospitality group, and then they were there just for training for 3 months, 6 months, so on and so forth. And I guess when they hit like a certain threshold or a certain level, then they would deem good enough to go back to their home hotel. So the language barrier typically everybody there could speak multiple languages, and make sure that they were able to communicate with all of their different clientele. Because like we said before, people were from everywhere. So it's more so, they get there and you're at a restaurant and it's time for you to order. It's not, well, what language do you speak? It's, okay, well, you start talking so I can match you. And that's, yeah, the staff is really on point there.
I like that. I like that a lot. Okay, cool. So it looks like we have to start wrapping things up, catch a flight back. So we're gonna hit the gift shop real quick, get some souvenirs for this flight. But before we do that, or as we doing that, Marcus, what are any last things that we haven't covered about the Maldives that you'd like to share before we hit this flight?
Definitely go. Um, go as soon as you can. And the reason why I say as soon as you can, you never know what, with global warming and stuff like that. I know a couple of years ago when I was researching the Maldives, they were talking about sea level, and you don't want to get it to the point where sea level raises too high where you can't visit. So who knows what it's going to look like in 10 years. So get there now, and prepare to budget for it and just really research it, because I had to research it myself just to make sure that, it was affordable for me and everything like that. Once I knew that it was a no-brainer to take Alicia there because she deserves it. So for, the guys out there, if you want to take your lady to a place, Maldives, I truly recommend. And just do as much research as you can, because there's a lot to do, but there's also nothing to do, which is perfectly fine.
Beautiful. Now, Alicia, what do you got to say? What last remarks do you have about Maldives before we get out of here?
Um, yeah, so literally the same. The only other thing I would add, which is not even a big thing, is you have to smell the frangipani flower that they have. It's a flower that grows in some tropical destinations, but it's literally everywhere in Maldives on the different islands, and it smells so good. Like we were literally like every day we would pick the flower and just sniff it.
Yes.
Ah, it's like
Yep.
yeah, heaven. But apart from that, literally yeah, everything Martha said, just go. And yeah, literally just prepare to really unwind, reset, and just yeah, relax.
hmm Yeah, so Maldives, if it's not on your list, I'm sure it is now. It's a lot you can do. It's definitely a place for you romantic folks. You want to take your lady out, or if ladies, if you want to take your man out, you can do that too.
Wait,
Uh, Go
sorry.
ahead.
Can I add also? We did actually also meet. Well, that we saw two females who were there by themselves at the Conrad Hotel. So it's not even just for couples. Like if you want to go solo, you can. I mean, the option is there.
hmm
Um, yeah, but obviously, good to someone
Definitely,
else.
yeah, definitely a Julia Roberts eat, pray, love type of a destination if you want to go and refine yourself, rediscover. So yeah.
Yep, yep.
That's cool. So yeah, put it on your bucket list, man. Maldives is definitely on my bucket list. That's for sure. So it sounds beautiful. Like I said, you don't have to go if you with a couple or with your spouse or significant other. If you want to go by yourself solo, or if you think it's too luxurious, think again, because you can actually travel there for a low budget, not that extravagant. So definitely don't just cross it off as an option. So yeah, definitely Maldives. Put it on your bucket list. We do have to catch a flight back. So on this flight back, we have one last segment that we have to cover. Marcus, you already played this game. If you guys want to see Marcus's answers to this game, it's going to be fun. But just let me give you an insight, Alicia. So basically, I'm going to ask you a list of questions, and you have to answer them as quickly as possible. So not too much thinking, no long-winded answers. And also, you only have one answer. So I mean, one word answer. So you can't answer all elaborate and have all these stories and not and whatnot. But
Okay.
once again, if you guys, Marcus already played this game with us. So you guys, if you want to check his answers out, go to Malaysia. You can check out the Malaysian country. He did a solo on that one. You can get his answers there. So that's actually a good episode that you want to travel in a good country you want to travel to as well. So let me go ahead and get ready. Let me see here. Now, I think, yep, I am ready. Alicia, are you ready?
I am. I think so.
All right. So, question number one. What is your favorite airline?
Uh, Qatar Airlines.
What is your favorite hotel?
Uh, the St. Regis, New York.
Say, what is your favorite cruise line?
Carnival Cruises.
What is your favorite state?
California.
What is your favorite country?
Sri Lanka.
What
Apart from
is
Jamaica.
oh, right. I got you. What is your favorite hotel booking site?
Uh, Booking.com.
What is your favorite flight booking site?
Skyscanner.com.
Now, what is one thing that Alicia must bring on all her trips?
Global Travel Podcast.
One thing, one thing.
One thing. Stop, fail.
Well,
Okay, one thing I have to
yeah,
bring.
anything. Yeah, one thing you must bring on your trip.
Perfume.
Perfume. Okay. Where do you want to go next?
Ghana in Africa.
What other country would you live in?
Seychelles.
Now, the last question. What is your favorite travel podcast?
Hmm. The Global Travel Podcast, of course.
Just
And that's the same thing I have to bring with me everywhere I go so I can listen to it. Duh.
bingo. I see that. I like the way you think. You see, there you go.
I
No matter,
mean,
it's global. That's what I said. You can listen to it in America, in England, in
yes,
Maldives, Sri Lanka.
exactly.
So yes, much appreciated. So let me say thank you guys. Much, this was a dope episode. It was couples. Much
Thank you.
appreciated. Beautiful. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are approaching our home airport. So I need you guys to be back into your seats, buckle up, trays up, and seats in an upright position. But before we land, both of you, if you guys, let's start with ladies first. Alicia, one last piece of travel advice for the couples out there traveling. If you can give us one before we hit the ground.
Compromise and yeah, just relax. Literally, just relax, compromise, and go with the flow.
Well said. Compromise, relax, go with the flow, be flexible. And now, Marcus,
Yes.
what about you?
Um, sheesh. Along with the same things Alicia said, I say just I guess reset everything when you travel and when you reach your destination, and then plan what's next while you're there. Live in the moment, but make sure that it's a moment that you'll continue to have going forward, and then just look to the future with each other. You're there for a reason, so embrace that, and then look for the next moment. Look forward to the next moments.
Nice. Well said. For all you couples out there and non-couples, it's for us too. Definitely hope you guys got a lot of value, some souvenirs to bring back with you of what to do, what to see, what to eat in the Maldives. Definitely put it on your bucket list if it's not. But we are safely landed now. You can unbuckle your seatbelts, grab your belongings, and exit the cabin. And with that being said, thank you for flying here with us at the Global Travel Podcast, and we'll see you on our next trip. If you would like to be a guest on our show and tell us about your travel experiences, then leave us a comment in the comment section below so we can reach out to you. Also, if you have any countries, states, or cities that you'd like us to review, please let us know so we can plan a trip there. Lastly, if you got some good value today and liked our podcast, please hit the like button and click subscribe so you can travel with us again next time. So subscribe right now because you don't want to miss the next trip. With that being said, over and out.